Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. That's from a guy, sounds like he's probably in his late 30s, maybe early 40s. And he shares a story about his best friend for 15 years, who is exact opposite of him. This guy telling the story, he is an R-pill guy, been following my channel for a few years now, watches all sorts of content, hasn't dated since he was 29 years old because pretty much every girl he ever had, girlfriend, cheated on him, except his friend is the exact opposite. His friend is a very blue pill guy. Been married, I think, for 15 years, and his wife treats him like complete garbage, as you're about to see. And he's sharing his story and asking my advice on the subject where things have gotten so bad with his best friend in terms of, and you'll see what I'm talking about, that he's finally cut him off. That's he's no longer being friends with him anymore because it's having that much of an impact on him. Now, before you think automatically that seems kind of harsh, when you hear this story, guys, you'll know what I'm talking about, because his friend here is probably one of the most weak, blue-pilled, brainwashed by the narrative guys I've heard in a long time. How this guy's been friends with him this long, I will never know. And you're going to see just how pee-whipped he is by his wife, how this guy accepted all these terrible terms in his marriage relationship, and this guy tries to help him out, but it only just blows up in his face. And so I think it's very important when to go over here, guys, because a lot of you guys work on yourselves, better yourselves, accept reality for what it is, not the narrative that is put out there through the media, TV, movies, and all that. You're going to have a lot of people that in your life that are going to still subscribe to the narrative and think you're the bad guy. You know, how dare you not think that all the gals out there are sweet angels? How dare you question this? How dare you question that? How dare you not be the perfect gentleman and kiss their butt and all that? They don't like guys like us. I have a lot of people that hate me, and the most that hate me aren't women, they're men. Men that buy into the bullshit narrative, men that think the gals are perfect angels, men that don't question anything, amongst many other things. And there's a point, guys, where you're going to have to cut these guys out of your life because they're only going to bring a bunch of bullshit in your life. And honestly, as the saying goes, we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So if you're hanging out with a bunch of guys that are like this, or guys that aren't going anywhere in life, are just weak, they're losers, whatever you want to call it, it's got to reflect on you. And you reach a point that you're done. And also, you're going to see, guys, there's some people that just can't be saved. That's another thing here. You guys, I'm sure, have at least one friend that will be kind of like the guy in this story. And you may really want to help them because you care. But there's a point that they're just so far gone that you can't save them. They have to go through the pain and come around themselves. That's really what it is. And this guy here, perfect example here. So, oh, and by the way, I did a video, I kid you, a video series, like 4 or 5 videos back in the spring and summer about a guy in a similar situation, which I'll post a link to, where literally he was trying to help his friend and he could not. And his wife was a wacko and all that, and very similar to this story, which I'll post if you want to see it. Okay, starts off, he says, good morning, SSM. My name is Gray, and let me start by saying that I've been a fan of your channel since the pandemic hit. I'm subscribed to all 3 of your channels, but I've been RP since 2014 and watching RP content on YouTube. I'm all over it. Bro, thank you for your support to all 3 channels, and thanks for watching me since the beginning. Coming up on 3 years pretty soon. I can't believe it. He says, every relationship I was in ended in her cheating. So I gave up on cheating. I gave up on dating at age 29. Bro, nobody here can blame you. Now, I don't know what you were like before you were 29, which led to a lot of cheating, but I'm sure you were a good guy. Maybe you had a lot of things to work on, but the point is, cheat on by every girlfriend by the time he was 29. You can't blame this guy for walking away and immersing himself in this type of content to teach him reality. It says here, I have my own stories, but this isn't about me. It's about my brother and best friend of 15 years. Let's call him Rick. Rick is age 37 years old and has always been blue-pilled, nice guy, especially when it comes to his wife Becky, age 39. So Becky is 2 years older than him. Let's remember that. He even cut me off for a short time when Becky found out that I had a friends with benefit relationship with a woman, and she didn't agree with that. Our friendship took heavy damage after a year of no contact. Hang on here. Your so-called best friend, your brother, a friend of 15 years, cut you off for like a year because his wife didn't like that you had a gal that you had a friends with benefits relationship with. Is that what I'm hearing here? I told you guys pee-whipped, okay? If your gal doesn't like your bro, and your bro is not a bad person, except that he just, friends with benefits, then guess what? That's kind of common nowadays. That says everything about her, and it says everything about him, right? But I would have been done with him right then and there, but he gave another chance. And by the way, guys, it's ironic that she was mad at him and didn't like him having friends with benefits, given what you are about to hear about her. I think, honestly, she was looking for any excuse to cut you off from being friends with her husband, that you might give him some bad ideas and use that as an excuse. And her pee-whipped husband went along with it and was more than happy to oblige her. It says, our friendship took a heavy damage after a year of no contact, and Rick contacted me and apologized. Eventually, we became friends again. This happened a decade ago. So his wife was an a-hole a decade ago, showing her colors when she was 29 years old. And he was a weak pussy back then. This happened a decade ago, and we've been tight ever since. I call him out when he allows too much of his white knight syndrome to show. For instance, I was telling Rick how my coworker found out that his 2 children are not biologically his, and Rick stated, those are still his children, no matter how they were conceived. Bullshit. In a situation like that, a man can choose what he wants to do, but they're not his kids. I asked Rick, who is the father of the 2 boys with... I asked Rick, who is the father of 2 boys with his wife Becky, that if he found out that his wife had a 5-year affair and knew your kids were not yours, and tricked you into thinking that you'd still be with her and raise those kids. And Rick responded... And Rick's response was, it's all in the past, and I look forward to the future of my family. Oh, for God's sakes. Of course he says that. He says, now that I've set the groundwork of how much of a blue-pilled guy Rick is, I can start the story. For some time now, approximately 6 months, Rick has been hanging out at my place on weekends more and more. Before we'd hang out twice a month for a few hours. Becky's parents watch their children on the weekend, so Rick and his wife can have some time together. But almost every Saturday, he'd show up at my place. Of course, my RP radar started going off, and I started asking questions. So you went from seeing him a couple times a month to seeing him every weekend. The kids are at the grandparents' house. Where's his wife? Of course, this guy's RP radar is going off. He said, he asked him, why aren't you hanging out with your wife? Oh, she needs some time alone this weekend. Sometimes he'd ask me to take him somewhere, and I'd ask, where's your car? Oh, my wife used it to go out of town to visit a friend. Out of town to visit a friend? Do you know this friend that she visits so often? No. She said it's an old friend from high school. Of course, this guy's not going to question this at all. Maybe, and I'm giving the major benefit of the doubt, maybe he suspects something, but he doesn't want to know. Mind you, his wife doesn't work. Rick works 60 plus hours per week. The children are 14 and 10, so they look after themselves mostly. Rick told me she mostly spends her time on her computer or her phone. Guys, does this sound like the stories I go over? What does this sound like here? You all hear what's going on here. A month ago, I broke the news to Rick that it appeared that Becky was either having an emotional affair or physical affair. My money was on both because of the out-of-town trips. Rick blew up at me, yelling that I was a jealous, lying piece of shit. How are you jealous? Jealous of a guy that's totally pee-whipped? Jealous of a guy who's so pee-whipped that didn't talk to you for a year because his wife didn't like that he had a friends with benefit relationship? Jealous of a guy that's walked all over by his wife? That you're jealous of that? Okay. He didn't even know what an emotional affair was. Smack. Come on. And I owed him some smacks earlier. I'm off my game. It's Monday. I looked it up on... he didn't know what an emotional affair was. I looked it up online and told him that from what he told me, his wife has all the symptoms of someone who was cheating. Number one, and these are examples. Number one, you haven't hooked up with her in months. I pulled out one of your lines, SSM, and told him that she's not getting it from you, she's getting it from someone else. Number two, she's constantly going out of town on the weekends without you to go see a friend that you've never met. Try to go with her and watch her throw a fit or cancel a trip. I guarantee it. Exactly. Guys, for you guys out there that are in relationships right now, girlfriend or wife, if your girlfriend or wife was suddenly going out of town every weekend to hang out with someone, wouldn't it be a little suspicious? And also, wouldn't you be demanding you know who this person is? I mean, come on here. Nope. Number 3, she's always, and he wrote always in giant letters, always on her phone. Ask to see her phone, and I guarantee you she's going to tell you no. And if you insist, she's going to call you controlling. Yes, all the signs. Just never around, disappearing, you don't know where she's going, who she's with, on her phone all the time, guarding her phone. These are the clear-cut signs, but guys don't want to hear this. Rick left my place angry, but he agreed that Becky had been acting strange. Long story short is that Rick confronted Becky with what I told him, and after days of calling me a liar and refusing to show her phone, she came out clean about the affair. There you go. There you go. You were the bad guy, of course. You didn't want to hear it. Blue pill guys that have swallowed the Kool-Aid, that buy into the narrative, they hate guys like us because we talk about reality. It was a physical affair, like I said, out-of-town guy, like I said. All the evidence was on her phone, like I said. Rick showed up at my place on a weekday with his car, which was out of the ordinary. Normally, he'd ride his e-bike over to my place. Rick came in and confirmed everything I already knew, but then he dropped a bombshell and told me that Becky, wait for it guys, drum roll, demanded an open marriage. He didn't say asked for an open marriage. He didn't say requested open marriage. He said demanded an open marriage. When a woman demands something of her guy, that obviously means she knows darn well that he's so weak. He's so pee-whipped. I have so much leverage over him, he's going to go along with this. Because no woman is going to demand anything of any guy they know darn well will walk away in it like that if they push him too far. No one will demand anything, or at least think she's going to get it, from a guy she respects or loves. Okay? Not going to happen. Only they make demands of weak men. And this is how they treat weak men. He didn't even know what an open marriage was. Smack. What is this guy spending all his free time watching fucking Sesame Street? I mean, come on here. I explained it to him and played a few of your videos. Oh boy. FYI, Rick thinks you're a giant douche. Well, given what you've been telling me about him and what I know is going to happen in the story, I'll take that as a real compliment. A lot of people think I'm a real douche. But like I said, back from the beginning, my biggest haters aren't women. My biggest haters are men. They think I'm a scumbag, a douchebag, and all the other things you can put at me, because what I talk about goes exactly against what they believe, against the narrative they've been spoon-fed since they were kids. They hate me for that. So it's easier to hate me and guys like me, what I talk about, and talk about reality, than actually question their life, question things around them. That's how people are like. And whenever people have a belief system in anything that challenges that belief, they explode. He'll learn. I think I'm a giant douche. Where the hell am I in this story? I let him know that there are thousands of these stories out there about how open marriages don't work unless you go into the marriage as an open marriage. Your wife only wants an open marriage because she got caught cheating and she doesn't want her gravy train to end. Exactly. She's got this guy who she doesn't work. Let's all recall. He pays the bills. He works 60 plus hours a week according to this guy. Why would she want to get a divorce? She knows darn well this guy will go along with what she wants so she can get some side dick and have this guy pay the bills. Sure, she could divorce him, and depending on where they live, probably still make out well in the family courts, even though she's the one cheating, because, hey, she doesn't work, she's relying on his income, and she'd probably get the house, the kids, alimony, child support, you name it. But still, it's an easier deal to stay with this guy. No woman treats a guy they love and respect like this. Ever. If a man acts weak, if he acts like a pussy, if he lets her boss him around, has no spine, no backbone, none of that stuff, she will either cheat on him and leave him, or cheat on him and stay with him and make his life a living hell. And guys think that they're being strong for their lady and strong for their family by putting up with this bullshit. No, you're not. Look at the example you're setting for your kids. What kind of man goes along with this? This is why I do what I do. Guys out there need my work. The problem is the guys need me the most hate me. I said, hey, do you want to continue to work long, hard hours while your wife sleeps with other guys on your dime? Rick isn't the best looking guy, and he's really skinny. I'm not judging him, but it's safe to say that he is in the shallow end of the dating pool. Well, you know what? I've known guys that are skinny, not the best looking guys, and they're alphas, and they get women. It's all about your attitude. It's all about how you carry yourself. It's all about your vibe, all that, your strength. I told him that if his wife wasn't cheating already, she could walk outside with a sign that says free you know what, and she would have a line of guys so far as the eye could see. A male model wouldn't get the same results, and he himself wouldn't get any either. Rick ignored what I told him and opened his marriage for the sake of his family. His words. There you go. For the sake of the kids. So your kids are going to grow up in a household, and have been growing up in a household where mom and dad don't love each other. Mom bosses dad around. Dad's unhappy because you can't tell me he's happy, amongst many other things. These kids are going to end up in relationships just like that. And I can't remember if he said he has boys or girls or a mixture of both, but I guarantee you that if he has a boy, seeing his father's example is going to be raised to will very likely be just like him. It's not going to be like Back to the Future where George McFly was a pussy and Marty was tough because he saw his dad was a pussy. The odds are no, the boy will kind of be like the father. I know it's a movie, but it's a good example. And it's better to split. And he's going to get hit in the divorce courts, especially depending on where he lives, but better at least he can be on his own, start over, and the kids can see an example of a man acting like a fucking man and taking his balls back, because believe me, his balls been his wife's purse since he said I do. Then stay with this and be treated like this. Come on here. Have some self-respect. She's a piece of shit, and we're just getting started. That same day he opened the marriage, Becky left for 2 days to go stay with her lover. The same day. Should have ended it right then and there. It probably would have shocked her if he actually had showed any balls. I told Rick not to come over to my place because I don't want to deal with him being depressed about his wife because he gave her permission to go sleep with another guy when he should have ended the marriage. Good for you. Now, some of you may think that, hey, a bro should stand by a bro and be there for him and all that. There's a point, guys, where you have to cut them off. That they're helpless. He's been trying to help him. He's been a good friend to him all these years when he's obviously been like this. And it's only getting worse with time, I might add. That's how it works. And there's a point you just cut him off because it's going to affect his life. Why would he, as a single man, a bachelor, he's got a good thing going, want a guy hanging around who is going to be depressed and mope and complain about problems in his life that he is contributing to and allowing and all that? I wouldn't want to listen to that bullshit. If I had a friend that was behaving that way, I would tell him straight out. And if you don't want to hear it and would continue on bitching about it, I'd be like, dude, wish you all the best, but you know what? You need to, until this shit ends, we're not hanging out. End of story. But guys, we're not even close to being done yet with the bullshit he pulls. Rick told me he told his dad about the situation, and his dad's response was, I didn't know I raised such a weak and pathetic man. Ouch. Well, you know what? Good for his father for saying that. His dad also should have smacked him. You should have listened to Gray and get a divorce attorney. Even his mom, through her tears, told him there's no coming back from this. Okay, he's got you telling him that. He's got his own mom and dad telling him that. Doesn't want to hear it. And he is weak. And he is pathetic. And you know what? Some guys just can't. Some guys just, they don't want to hear it, no matter how bad it is. And some guys want to be there, and you sugarcoat things. At this point, no, you can't. And his own father. And I got to wonder how his dad raised him. It's a very important question because a lot of guys, they're weak because their dad was weak. Didn't show them how to be a man. Didn't stand up to their mother and things like that. But maybe in this case, the father was strong, but he just, for whatever reason, became this way. It's not too hard to imagine given the world we live in. He says, SSM, as of yesterday, I told Rick not to contact me until he found his balls. Good for you. Yesterday was Saturday, and Rick came over like usual. We came to the agreement that he would not disclose anything about his failing marriage because I told him he was starting to piss me off. We're taking turns getting our asses whipped in Elden Ring when Rick told me his wife's lover broke up with her and ghosted her. That's how Chad and Tyrone roll. He told me that he held his wife as she cried over the loss of her lover, and I snapped. He's holding his crying wife over she's bawling her eyes out about the dude she's fucking, breaking up with her. He's there-thering her about the guy. This is like in high school, like you're friends with a girl that you really like because you don't have the balls to ask her out, and she's crying about the guys that break up with her to you, even though she, except this is his wife, about some guy boning her. Is he out of his mind? I'd smack the shit out of him. I snapped. I told him, you're raising weak men. Your sons are going to be exactly like you when they grow up because they see how you allow yourself to be treated by your wife and they think it's okay. Exactly. And he has sons. Oh my God. I can't be friends with you right now because you keep bringing up your situation. But get angry when I tell you the truth. I'm not your fucking therapist, bro. Yes. This guy, Jesus. This guy needs help. But you know what? You've tried. Like a lot of you guys have tried to help some of your friends and brothers out. You've tried. And you just don't need this bullshit in your life. Divorce her, then we can talk. I woke up this morning to a long text from Becky threatening me and telling me to stay out of their lives. In other words, your friend, ex-friend, blabbed. Your friend threw you under the bus. Told her everything. Because she's his commander-in-chief. She's his ruler. Threw you under the bus. 15 years you've been friends. You've been trying to help him. He probably told her about my channel. He probably told her about the things that you were saying. All that stuff. And now she's threatening you because you can mess up her perfect little situation. I called her every name for a lady of the night there possibly was and told her I could go to the police station right now and file charges against her for threatening my life. But I'll give her this one get out of jail free card because of Rick. I wouldn't. If she's threatening your life, making actual threats, and you could see it in the text, go to the cops. Seriously. You never know what some wacko might do to you, and you got it right there. And quite frankly, she deserves it. I call her a pathetic sack of crap who ruined a good man's life. And when the karma train comes for her, I'd be watching with glee. Well, she is a piece of crap and all those things, I agree. But guess what? So's Rick. Rick allowed her to do that in his life. She's guilty, don't get me wrong. She's a piece of garbage. We can all agree there. But Rick allowed this. He was a weak jackass. He was the one that didn't want to hear what you had to say. Hell, he's not even listening to his father. Okay? Rick put himself in the situation. I'm about accountability here because women sure as hell aren't about accountability. And your friend, he has to be accountable for his actions. So they're both assholes. I forwarded this message to Rick and told him, if your whore of a wife threatens me again, I'm filing charges and we can't be friends anymore, but to contact me after he finally has has the balls to file for divorce. First round's on me. He says, SSM, I'm starting to think our pill and blue pill men can't be friends. I don't understand how some men allow themselves to be treated in such a way. Thanks, SSM. You're doing great work. Best regards. So there you go, guys. I wasn't kidding about his friend here. And this is why a lot of you guys are going to eventually either cut people out of your life, brothers that behave kind of like this dude's friend here, or ex-friend, or they're not going to want to be around you. I've told you guys before, I've mentioned in previous videos, that I've had different guys I considered friends and brothers cut me off completely because of what I do here on YouTube. Okay? They obviously knew my views on things beforehand, but it's a different ballgame to see me on camera and doing a show about this and really getting down to these details. And these are guys, years been friends with, hung out with, knew their families, whenever their houses, vice versa, all that stuff. Because of what I do on here. And yes, they're family men with wives and children, and some definitely fall into the category of P-whipped. Not all, but definitely some. And it goes against everything that, and of course, and here's the thing, I'm sure a lot of you notice, I'm middle of the road here, right? There are guys way more extreme than I am. I'm middle of the road. I will say that there are good women out there. I will say, okay, if you're going to get in a relationship, be careful. I warn guys, but I say there are some good gals out there. It's rare, but there are good ones out there, and amongst many other things. And I focus a great deal about improving yourself and building your lives. There's a lot of guys who just have channels, just bitch and complain and yell about women. That's not me, and yet I'm still hated, right? So, bro, after this shit, I wouldn't have anything to do with him after this. Even if he divorces her, because the last thing was him throwing you under the bus, telling her obviously everything, to have her calling and harassing you. This is just not worth having in your life. And the odds are he's not going to learn. And if he does learn, his whole life's going to have to come crashing down. Like literally, it would probably take her divorcing him and taking the kids and the house, and he have to pay the alimony and the child support and all that stuff, just completely crashing down for him to finally maybe see the reality that you weren't full of it, that you were trying to help him. And guys like me aren't the douches that people think I am. For him to wake up and see the light. I don't know. Will that happen? You never know. But I sure as hell don't think he's going to be the one that initiates that. So I wish you the best, bro. I don't think you should have anything to do with him at this point anymore at all, even if he divorces her. Because even then, I just don't see that happening. And if it does, still, there could be a lot of bullshit. I want you guys to have lives that are as minimal drama as possible. And when you have friendships and people in your life that bring this into it and all that, it's not worth it. And again, how 10 years ago, he cut you off for a year because his wife didn't like that you had a friends with benefit. Even though, look at her actions here in the present. And Lord knows how long she's probably been having things going on the side. Think about that. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think in the comment section. Do you think if this guy divorces her, or is in the process, give him another chance, or just whoosh, be done with him? There's no saving him. Let him know. And also, guys, let's hear in the comment section about you guys that may have tried to help other guys out, other friends, male family members, and how did they respond to you sharing reality with them? How'd that work out? Did they hate your guts, or are they willing to listen? I'd like to hear about that. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.